Hi, today I will show you a problem that I had with Nexus user when I was creating a pipeline in Jenkins. This is something that was difficult to solve, but finally I did it. And this is the tutorial. And in this tutorial, we will explore how to properly manage Docker and build arguments and environment variables within Jenkins pipeline, focusing on the differences between defining Docker settings in the agent block versus within pipeline stage. We will use two Jenkins pipeline examples to illustrate common issues and their solution. Before we will proceed, I will go back to the main website and to my home, and I will show you the two differences. Automatic Tycho, and this is a complete tutorial. So in this tutorial, if you will scroll down to the section with a Jenkins pipeline, this one, I'm using something like username, password, blah blah blah, but basically it is connecting to a Dockerfile Tycho, and in Dockerfile Tycho we are using something like npm registry, and we are downloading npm packages from the internet using registry.npmjs.org. Then I created a Jenkins and Nexus OSS managing npm authentication tutorial, and here is a modified pipeline that is able to connect to Nexus. First of all, what I did, I get rid of agent block from the beginning of the pipeline because it was between environment block and stages block, and I moved this here to the stage build Docker image steps with credentials, and we have something like credentials ID, and with credentials allows us to pick up credentials from Jenkins. Where it is located, I'm going to show you this in a moment. So let's check this. Here we go, and this is the section manage Jenkins and credentials. And if you will scroll down this column, this one, the third one, actually, let's call this one, this is with system names the first, domain is a second, and ID is a third column. And we have two IDs, Nexus -npm-user and Nexus-npm-pass, and I'm storing them as a secret. If you will just click here, and here you should see this one is very good because here we have a name, kind, description, and ID is the first one. So you can see I'm storing both values as a secret text. So I was wondering how to make it work, and I finally did it because with the option with credentials, I was able to use credentials ID, and thanks to this I was able to achieve our goal. I mean this one and then this one. So thanks to this approach, I was able to pick up Nexus username and password, pass it to variable npm_user and npm pass, then use these variables here as build argument, right? npm_user equals $npm_user, and this is passed to a Docker file. And if you will scroll down, there's an explanation, and also there is a Docker file below. And here I defined argument npm_user and npm_pass, and then it is using these arguments here, directly here, npm_user and npm-pass. It is encoding it with base 64, and it is saving to root.npm-rc file, right? And thanks to this, we can connect to Nexus here, and we can use the registry Nexus sysadmin and homes. In my case, I'm using my own Nexus local server, so I'm just downloading and installing npm packages from my local Nexus server instead from the internet, because I decided that I want to speed up building process of the Docker container. And that was the problem. The problem was related to how to properly pick up values, and I did it. So finally I have a pipeline number one that actually is wrong because this doesn't work, and I will show you this in a moment. And it is not picking up correctly values, and it's time to show you the presentation how we can achieve this in our project. So let's go to dashboard, click on the project Tycho, here is our job, click on configure, and we will scroll down and we will change the Jenkins file to 1, and yeah, it's already here. Apply and save. So now we will use the Jenkins file number 1, this one. So it will connect to the GitLab repository. It will pick up this, and here we have defined this. So these values should be, picked up properly and passed to arguments here, to build arguments. And let's try. So build with parameters, AWX test, AWX pets, build it, and now let's click on the result console output, and we will see what will happen. I will tell you it will not pick up correctly the values because it is not working. You have to use with credentials ID, because this is something that is able to go to manage Jenkins credentials, find a secret text for npm dash nexus dash id, if I remember correctly the ID. It's able to pick up password and login for Nexus user and use it and load into the variable, and then use this variable as argument and use this argument in Docker file to correctly connect to a Nexus. And you can see it failed. Why? I will try to scroll up a little bit because this is very interesting step. And this one, Docker build -t, then we have a name. It's a kind of a random string. It's a name of our Docker container. Build arguments, we have every values are nulled. Here, null, 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 null. That's it. It will not work. Then we have something like, I will show you, the so-called modified version, pipeline 1 modified, and this is a error of a new beginner, because what I did, this is only a presentation. I used something like argument env.arg, and here I used something like docker build npm_user, and this one, like this way, right? And why it will not work? Just because npm_user and npm_path are not earlier defined. It's not possible to define them earlier, just because you can't do this in this environment block, just like that. And this version will also not work. This is something that will also fail, and I'm going to present you also this one just to show you that in fact it is not working as expected. But before I will do this, I will just clean up the environment on my Docker host. And now let's go back to the Tycho, and now it is time to modify the configuration. So configure, and now it should be the Tycho Jenkins file pipe and something like modified, right? This one, apply. Let's check the name, and here we go, to be sure that it in fact is a Jenkins file 1 modified. Okay, so we can try to build it. Let's go here, build with parameters, argo cd's path. Okay, try to build it, and now let's check the situation, console output, and now you should see the output, and it will also fail, just because this value will not be able to it will not even pick up because they are not defined, and it should return the error, and it should not proceed. So yes, it's trying to build the image, but let's go up and checking the situation here, and now you can see docker build, docker file. What about arguments? Nothing happened. There is no argument at all. The previous version at least presented null values, but in this case it doesn't work. I mean, there is no even information that the value is null, the variable is null, so it will not work. Okay, fantastic. So what is the solution? The solution is quite simple. So the last solution and the last thing is something that is working. This pipeline number 2, separates the Docker image build process into a distinct stage, allowing for better management of environment variables and credentials. So what I did, I get rid of this agent block from here. I moved it, as I explained it before, that I moved to the stage. I used with credentials. I passed variables into build arguments, and this version is working correctly, passing all the values into the Docker file, and Docker file can use these arguments. So we have detailed analysis. You can read about it, but let's talk about pipeline 2 solutions. We have separate build stage. We are using with credential block, and we are using Docker image agent subsequent stage, in a subsequent stage actually, and we have something like best practices that are very important. So we always should separate build and runtime context. Why? This ensures that environment variables and credentials can be managed appropriately. Explicit credential loading. So use with credentials block to load credentials explicitly within the stage that require them. This ensures that sensitive information is handled securely and is available only when needed. Then we pass a build argument explicitly. So when we are building Docker images, we need to pass necessary build argument explicitly using the --build--arg option. And this ensures that all required variables are available during the build process. And at the end, the most important thing, modular and maintainable pipelines. So we can see that the structure in this Jenkins file number 2 is modular. So we are separating different concerns. For example, code checkout, environment setup, build, test, and deploy. This makes the pipeline easier to maintain and troubleshoot, because if some part will fail, we are focused on a proper stage. We don't take care of the whole pipeline, but instead we are focused on a stage, for example, build, and we see that in the stage build there is a problem and we need to find out why. So it is a final time to show you the Jenkins file number 2. So let's clean up the environment one more time, and this is the last thing that we are going to do. So let's go back to configure section, and I will change it to Jenkins file number 2 to show you that the Jenkins file is working. So let's do this, apply, save, and let's build with parameters Argo CD. Okay, I will use Argo CD. I will try to test Argo CD website. So click here, console output, and let's check the situation here. Now it should work, because we should see in a stage that is created for building the Docker image, that all the arguments are passed properly. So we should see that variables are picked up, loaded into arguments, and arguments can be used by a Docker container inside, right? So that's the way we can do this properly. But this step is a little bit longer, just because every time I clean up the environment, it's building the whole Docker container from the scratch, right? So anew. But here it did the job, and here you can see Docker build -aws tyco build arguments and npm user. So we can see stars, so they are hidden here. This is something that is very important. And there is also an information masking supported pattern matches of $npm_user or $npm_path. So this is something that is responsible for masking these just variables, and thanks this they are passed securely, and thanks this we can see the next step here. After it built up, it passed and encrypted with base64 and saved to .npmrc file, right? And then it is building the whole container. You can see it is connecting properly to Nexus server in this here. It picked up, downloaded all the packages, and now it is installing them. And yeah, and I would like to scroll up a little bit here, and this is very interesting because it shows you exactly what happened here, and there's some warn. Yeah, we can fix it by setting proper versions here, because I decided that I will use a specific version of packages. So I need to figure it out I mean, this package in light, I have to find out. This is just some kind of an additional package that is required by some of these packages, and I need to figure it out which version I need to be modified. I mean, up to date. I mean, which number I should use in which package to be able to make it work, and that's the way we can proceed. So basically, this is something that is working, and you can see it's done. It tells you how many packages it downloaded, etc, etc, and after that you can see it's installing a lot of them, 144 packages, and all of them are installed and everything is working as expected. Then we have something like docker inspect aw tyco, then we have something like export server IP, and here export username. So this is something separate, because we are using login and password for Argo CD or AWX website or any website. But you can see this is working, and then it did the whole test, passed the whole test, is working as expected. All the results are hived as tarball. Tarball is just copied to artifact in Jenkins, and the finished success. So basically, if we will click on this number, we have the whole test in HTML report compressed to tarball, so we can download it, extract it, and see results. That's it. That's the way we can work with the just pipeline, and this is the whole idea. So please remember, read these good practices, how to create properly pipeline, learn it, how to make it work, and try to understand why we have to use it this way instead of trying to something else. Because the modular option, the modular approach, is the best approach that we can use. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much. Have a nice day or night. Take care. Bye bye.